And then there were three. We are here. What's up? It's your boy, the coach. Welcome back to the Coach's Huddle with the Philbies family. And we got one. We got a divisional game, and we also have a new show that is going to be kicking off for the rest of the season. Hopefully it's not 1 week, but definitely for the remainder of the offseason. This is a new show. This is something that quite honestly is a no-brainer. It should have happened. It's long overdue. But I got my boy Tom Jensen and my man Damon Chunder Boy here with me for a new show, 3-Point Stance. This show is going to be obviously 3-point stances, right? What we think about, how we feel about the Niners, especially how we're going to move forward. And it's basically going to be a little bit more of a group think, something a little bit more collaborative than what we're used to on the one-on-one shows that we do, and definitely a different pace from the live watch show parties. But before we get into the show and tons of topics that we're going to cover, I just want to start with my top down to my clockwise. Let's go with Tom. How are you, Tom?
I'm doing well, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How do you feel about the season thus far? Talk to me, bro.
It's been an amazing year where they've just accomplished more than we could have thought with all these injuries. And they have a belief, they have a culture, they have a next man up philosophy that's carried them to this point. It's been great to watch.
Awesome. Chunder Boy, what's up, boy?
What's going on, Coach? How are you doing, sir?
Good, man. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great. I think that last week I was a lot more pessimistic, and maybe that vibe helped. So maybe I should stay pessimistic this week. But I don't know. It feels different after that win against the Eagles. We had no chance to win that game, and then the 49ers once again go out and get it done.
Awesome. So look, I ain't going to sit here and talk too much about all of the niceties. Let's get straight into it. We got a game tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be a hell of a game. This is part Trey. This is the third time we're going to be seeing the Seattle Seahawks. We're 1-1. We already know the tale of the tape. We faced them in week 1. Kind of feel like we got away with one. Shots out to Luke Farrell, snatching that one for us. At the same time, if you look at the last game in week 18, it was 13-3. Again, we lost this game. But one thing that we have to notice is that, I think we can all agree that week 18 was a little bit different. It wasn't just a loss. I feel like we got dominated on. There was over 180 yards rushing. They completely dominated the line of scrimmage. Offense really didn't get off the ground. We had a little bit of life with some drives down in the red zone that ended off in some turnovers. But for the most part, that was a game with a lot of stakes on the line. The number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs was on the line. The NFC West Championship was on the line in that game. Seattle came in here and took care of business. Right now, they've sat back. They've rested. We actually have a shorter day of rest because we have this game on Saturday. We got off the plane Sunday night here. But let's get into just a couple of things and elements about the game. Seattle ran for 180 yards in week 18. But for me, I'm not so convinced about Sam Darnold. He had a couple of instances in that game where he was really begging to turn the ball over. I'm not a believer in Sam Darnold moving forward. And I think everybody's talking about Brock in this game, but this game may be about whether we can make Sam Darnold play hero ball. So I guess the question is, can the Niners force this into Sam Darnold's hands and make him crack sans the run game? How do you guys feel about Sam Darnold's chances if this game kind of gets into his hands moving forward on Saturday night? I'll start with you, Tom. I'm sorry. Tom. I'll call you guys out.
You're good. So I don't think that we can get enough pressure on him to make him crack or anything like that. We just don't have enough pass rush to really force his hand. I do think that if we can get him off his spot and make him make a bad throw or a throw where his feet aren't set in critical moments, if we can dial it up on a key third down, if we can dial it up in certain situations, that could be enough. But I don't think we're going to just get enough pass rush to make him just all of a sudden start being scattershot or not playing confident. We're going to have to play sound football, and we're going to have to come up and tackle. That's going to be the key.
Well, go ahead, Tom.
I agree with that. I think the key for the Niners is that can they slow down the running game enough that they're forcing Darnold to make plays on 3rd and long. That's where they need to get to. And so that requires better tackling on 1st and 2nd, better pursuit angles, and a much better job of shedding blocks. The defensive tackles didn't shed blocks in the last game. Linebackers struggled with it. Bethune had his worst game of the year. And so now you've got Kendricks technically sound, didn't miss any tackles, strong pursuit angles, good communication. So I think that's what Saul is counting on, is that with these linebackers, they're going to be more efficient on 1st and 2nd. That sets up 3rd and long, and then he dials up blitzes to give Darnold some pressure.
Yeah. One thing that I feel like is going to be different in this game that I've been talking about quite often is defensively, I believe that we already see them coming. I don't think that there's been a lot of teams that have forced Seattle to win with Sam Darnold. There's been a couple of instances during the season where Sam has won big against some lackluster defenses, but we just haven't seen him perform in these type of stakes during this juncture of the season. My biggest thing right now is forcing him to take the game over. If Sam has to kind of peek his head out on 3rd and short, maybe 2nd and long, play action pass off of good running throughout the game, I think that he can pretty much stay clean. My biggest thing is that we're going to have to actually tilt the game, which means that there's going to be an instance in the game where Coach Kubiak and Coach McDonald are going to have to make a decision into saying, all right, well, we can't run the ball. All right, now we have to put it on Sam. Now, for me, I don't think it's realistic to ask for that instance anywhere in the first 3 quarters of this game, right? I had to stop myself from bringing this up before the show started. But as it goes, I just want these guys for 15 minutes in a phone booth. I want to be able to get to the 4th quarter, right? With a team such as the Seattle Seahawks, let's go ahead and just talk about what's already out there. They're younger than us. They're deeper than us, all right? They have more bodies. The only way that we're going to be able to win this game is to get to the point of the game where it really matters, which is the 4th quarter, all right? I don't think that this is a team, or this is a defense for that matter. Let's just call it what it is. This defense is too good to just get down, all right, and completely stay behind and completely get ran up and down the field. I don't see it. I think that we don't have the bodies. I think we don't have the energy. We'll get ran out fast if we'll try to shoot out with these guys. I think they got way too many bodies. Our position with these guys is to be able to play bully ball with the time of possession with the clock. Extended handoffs with being able to get the ball out quick, nullifying that pass rush, being able to get them to play honest. I think one of the biggest things as well, and as far as getting them later into the game, with being able to turn on Sam Darnold, where it's going to be a Sam Darnold game, is that the defense is going to have to be able to get some type of turnover. All right. This can't be a complete game on defense where they just stay clean the whole game and we just ride it out and go tit for tat, touch score for score. We're going to lose that style of game. For me, the biggest thing right now is being able to have some type of element in the game that starts early, right? Be it a good special teams return that flips the field of position, that keeps them deep in long drives, whether it be a fumble return or a fumble recovery on punt return, or a deep return on kickoff, or dare I say it, a punt return from Sky Moore. It's going to have to be something that completely throws off their circadian rhythm, if you will. right? It makes them kind of step off their square and say, all right, well, we're not used to this tempo of game. They're down. We're down. They're not better than us, but we got to kind of play them honest now, considering where we stand. And then before you know it, it's the fourth quarter, and now we got a ball game. There was an element of that in the Philly game where even though Philly was falling over themselves, we still wanted to get them to those last 5 drives of the game, right? To really expose what they haven't been able to do all season, which is play with tempo, be flawless, okay? Move the ball with efficiency, understand the clock, and then have your coaching staff have the synergy to do it. That is something that we have been doing in spades all year to win games, okay? We have been definitely being very meticulous down the stretch as far as understanding what's happening with the clock. Imagine a time. Do you think that we're more talented now at this junction of the season versus last season or which team do you think is better talent-wise, this team or last year's team?
Tom,
on talent, I would say last year. On coaching and execution, this year.
Exactly. And that's a beautiful point, Tom, because that's what I'm trying to highlight here is that last year's team, you could make an argument that last year's team had more talent than this year's team. But there's no way in the world that last year's team will be caught dead trying to get a timeout before the half ends to get a field goal off. No way they would find themselves in that position, or being in a 2-minute drill before the half ends to hurry up and get field position to kick a field goal, or having a kicker, having a kicker you can even trust to get that done, right? So there's elements of this team that are strong, but I feel like we have to be patient and earn our way to those things, right? Which means that we have to earn our fourth quarter in this game, right? Where, all right, if it's a low-scoring game, I don't care. That's fine.
Yep.
If we got to go punt for punt, back and forth, from this game is almost like a wrestling match where position matters, right? It's like you can't argue. You got to fight for the point. It ain't always about the sexy get. Sometimes you're going to have to look at a drive where if we flip the field and move the ball down and got great field position, but we didn't score, we didn't kick a field goal, but we got a punt that actually put their asses deep in their own territory, that's a win.
It is.
That's a win.
Successful drive.
That's the type of game that we're playing. It's literally drive by drive. What say you guys?
I think it's also really important to acknowledge that the team is more athletic this year. We got younger and more athletic, and that matters. The team was a little slow and old last year. We didn't really, especially late in the season, we didn't really have any explosiveness at all. And this team at least has some young legs. We have a guy in Siegel who ran a 4.37. We have a couple of defensive tackles who are just powerful, quick, interior guys that are disruptive. And, they're not always taking the right angles, and they're not always following the right technique just right. But we've got guys that are flying around and playing with a lot of athleticism. And sometimes that can win you a game.
Hey, man. Well, from your lips to God's ears, I hope that that's where we are standing forward. Let's get one super chat out of the way before we move on to our next topic. From Sean for the win. Thank you, Sean. I don't think they need to pressure him. I think they need to stop the run and make him throw a lot and confuse him. Get him off the field on third down and capitalize when they turn it over on downs. That's Sam Darnold. Yeah, I don't think that they need to rush him either. I do think that a little bit of the game plan of Jalen Hurts is, I don't know, I think you can lateral over some of that game plan to Sam Darnold, i.e. Sam Darnold is very athletic. If he gets out of the pocket, usually that's where he turns on, right? Because it's not the fact that Sam Darnold is going to be looking to run all the time, but when he runs, they're daggers, man. They're third downs, third and short, second and longs, opportunities where you really need to keep him inside of the pocket. And also making Sam Darnold be a processor of the football, taking away that first read, right? So one thing about we're going to talk about definitely this is not the same defense that we saw in week 18 versus tomorrow. We're going to get into that. But also a point that I want to bring up is that I don't think that this is going to be the same defense schematically. Coach Saleh played off a lot in the last game. Definitely a bend but don't break style of defense, playing cover 3, not really going cover 2 because they couldn't stop the run. So I don't know, what type of changes do you guys see coming in with Coach Saleh for this last game? Also, this is a twofer. Not only what do you see coming in with Coach Saleh, but I'm going to bring this up as a topic now. Hey, this happens in college all the time. We talk about it all the time. This is coach hiring season in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Coach Saleh, I would never challenge his preparedness. Never. But the human element is the human element. You've only get 24 hours in a day. And you have to split up your efforts. Is there a possibility that the game plan on defense may not be as thorough as it could be because Coach Saleh is interviewing for head coaching jobs?
I don't think so.
Tom.
I don't think that's a factor. With an early game, Saleh has to have his game plan done. You have to be prepared and ready. You have to execute that in Santa Clara. You have to know what you're doing. So I don't think it's a factor for Saleh that he has all this. It's more of just a distraction, but he can focus back in when he gets to Seattle. But I don't think it hurts their prep. In terms of how they go about things differently this time around, as Damon pointed out, you've got a lot more speed. And I think that's going to be a critical element, is that you're taking 465 in Jair off the field and replacing him with 437 Siegel. And we saw what that translated to last week. Siegel had the run blitz stop on Saquon. He had the great open field tackle on Devontae Smith. You need that speed. And if you're going to send him on a blitz, better to send a guy that's 4.3 than 4.6. All the times that he sends Jair in a blitz never works because he doesn't have the speed. That's right. That's going to play into it too. So I think all of those are factors. In terms of Darnold running, I think that they're going to try to avoid that because of the oblique. He's not going to want to expose himself and get hurt in game. So I think they're going to be more conservative in Sam internally because he doesn't want to risk injury during the game.
One more super chat before we get into our next topic. Sean for the win. They also need to use Brock's legs more than they have all year. Play action, move the pocket, QB draws, and read option. Kyle Shanahan needs to show something he hasn't all year. This is our Super Bowl. This team gives me 2012 Giants vibes. They do. This one, if we come in with the right mindset, we could possibly outplay Seattle if we come in with the right mindset, right? If we come in with the right mindset, I know that sounds crazy, but I've seen crazier. One more super chat. Keith and Bernie, they unbeaten. Make Sam pass 40 times instead of rush 40 times. God, that would be a dream come true. But that's something that you got to earn that. And right. Hey, listen. It's not the same defense they faced in week 8. That's something that is in our favor. For what we saw in week 18 defensively, there's a huge part of what the problems were running the ball that are not on the field. All right, playing there. And it's kind of crazy if you think about it, where you go from like 0 to hero in a section of your defense literally overnight. This could really be kind of the fly in the ointment that Seattle may not be respecting. Like if they could watch that Philly film and interpreted that a whole lot of different ways. Like, man, Philly was just off their mark. They weren't ready to play. Schematically, they were different. But from those who've been watching this defense all season, bro, Wallow, and shame on me, bro. I made such a stink about Wallow when he first came onto the scene.
Oops.
Did I not?
You did.
Did I not? I did, man.
I think you called him Willow at first.
I did not call him Willow. Okay, first of all, if you're going to quote me right. I believe I said, what the fuck is a wallow? I think that was exactly what I said. Okay. The first time I saw Garrett Wallow on the field, he had a 15-yard face mask, okay, on special teams.
Yep.
And I completely lost it. So listen, it was a rough start, okay? First impressions, they kill you. But what they did against Philly, Eric Kendricks and Wallow, first of all, playing together that way,
Yes.
right? Being able to utilize the space like as if they've been playing together for years. It was kind of weird
Wild
to watch
the chemistry
how well
they had right away.
To watch how well they played with each other, especially blitzing, being able to not loop right off of each other's hips, understanding how to be able to get inside of the gaps. I mean, dude, they utilize this defense. And I think a lot of that, I don't want to take anything away from Garrett Wallow because, hey, the proof is in the pudding. But I think a lot of that is Eric Kendricks. I think that he knows exactly how to maneuver inside of a defense. He's a veteran. And I'm excited to see what this defense looks like against this run game and see if they panic. We may panic them into abandoning it, man. I'm telling you. Because what do you tell me, Tom? Talk to me.
I don't think they will because they are going to want to protect Darnold as much as they can. They're going to try to run. They will keep running. And unless they have to, unless the score forces them into throwing, Kubiak has made it clear he's going to run and he's going to look to establish the run and keep running until the Niners force them not to and the game changes. If they're in a situation where it's late game and they have to throw, then they'll abandon the run, not until then.
Definitely. And that's what I want to get into. You segued it perfectly. Week 18, it wasn't about them playing better. They got bullied. We already talked about the 180 rushing yards that they gave up in Week 18. Also, it wasn't the 180 rushing yards, but it was the 18-plus missed tackles in Week 18. That was crazy. So I guess the question is, what changed in the defense that makes you believe that San Francisco can actually stop the run this time? I kind of buried the lead a little bit with talking about my reasons why I think they're going to be able to stop the run this time. But I'll go ahead and start with you, Damon, and just talk to me about why is it going to be different this time around when we see Seattle?
Well, let's not forget the Seattle only scored 13 points in our last meeting. It's not like we got beat 30-3. Our defense did, with all the missed tackles, with our linebackers being constantly caught out of position, safeties mixing tackles. Jamador Lenore apparently all of a sudden forgot how to play contain as a cornerback because the last 3 or 4 big runs have all been on his side of the field with him losing contain. So you compound all those things, but then you realize they only scored 13 points. If we just clean things up and execute better, if we have veteran linebackers who don't get dirty eyes, that was the biggest thing I saw from the linebackers in the last game against Seattle was the young guys were getting dirty eyes and they weren't hitting the right angles, weren't hitting the right gaps. And that caused a lot of kind of chaos in the middle. And with the veteran linebackers, because let's not forget, Wallow's been in the league 5 years on multiple different teams. He might not be some standout, but at this point, the guy understands football. He understands how to play football in the NFL level. He's a veteran linebacker. And when you put him next to someone like Kendricks, who when he was in his athletic prime was an absolute stud, you can actually do something with that when you have a defensive mind like Robert Saleh. So clean up the missed tackles, clean up the edges, don't let them get outside on you, and just make sure that you're playing sound defense down the middle. And I really think this defense can do the same thing and hold them to 13 points again. Hold them to 2 scores and 2 field goals and a score, something like that. However, the offense has to score points. I don't think 13 gets it done because now you're in a situation where late, maybe they get the ball last, so on and so forth. Offense has got to score points. If they can get up 10 points in this game sometime in the first half, they might be able to do exactly what you're talking about and have to get away from the run game and force Sam Darnold to beat us with his arm.
All right. I honestly think that it's gonna be the speed of the defense that we have now. The linebackers, I will say this. I like Tatum Bethune. I think that Tatum Bethune had by far his worst game in his career against Seattle. The last
absolutely.
Game I don't think that he was playing with confidence. He didn't play fast. He was overrunning tackles, missing tackles in the backfield. There were instances during the game where Tatum Bethune was just downright confused. He did not know where to fire off. His eyes were in the wrong place. It's pretty safe to say that they attacked our linebackers, and they beat us from the inside out. What's emblematic of that is the runs. Think about it. A lot of the runs, just if you look at just the flow of how the run game was going with Seattle in that Week 18 matchup, is that the majority of what they were getting were cutbacks. It was kind of like either or. Either it was they were gashing us on cutback lanes, or we were so gun shy on getting gashed on cutback lanes that we were getting reached, right, and not keeping contained, completely getting pushed, sucked down. Now, when you watch that from just a lineman perspective, you automatically think to yourself, like, God, the front side is getting washed so aggressively that the backside alley is like a backside 4-lane highway, right? Because they're getting so much push up front that what's supposed to be a natural cutback is actually creating another lane for backs to cut up into. Now, if you look at that, when you get a cutback lane that is that big, your angles got to be on point, right? Because they got so much more real estate to kind of cut that thing up and turn back when you are bend it back.
Or somebody had poor gap integrity also. That also causes that issue, and young players do that a lot.
Right. So one of the things that I've noticed is that I wanted to really get on the defensive line of getting, quite frankly, getting their ass whooped up front. But a lot of that also is linebackers controlling that flow. Right. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if you got good eyes and you're able to see over top of the fray, you're going to either be able to stay with the flow of the motion of the ball or the line running to the strength and being able to stay inside of those gaps. But if you can't see and you're overrunning your own gaps just for you to be able to get a clear shot, that cutback lane, it gets even much more defined. And I think that's a lot of what we were seeing in the last game against those guys. You saw the Eagles. The Eagles were really big game hunting for us in the run game. I think that's what hurt them as well. They were actually getting yards. They were kind of gashing us, falling forward. And if they would have stuck with that recipe, their offense would have been a lot less susceptible to getting exposed. But I believe that their run game was predicated upon them trying to hit that cutback lane that they saw against Seattle, where, dude, if we just get these guys flowing and get Saquon, he can bend that thing back and then we're good to go. If we could do it on the ground, we're good. And there's a lot of those instances where if you started seeing that, Niners were actually stuffing those things in the backfield early against the Eagles, even to the point where Saquon all but didn't want any more smoke. I mean, I saw a couple of plays where it looked like Saquon didn't even want to be on the field anymore, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm.
Philly was, I'm sorry, Coach. Philly was assuming that the linebacker play wouldn't change, and it did. Yeah, they had the proper pursuit angles. They had the right reads and communication for the defense. They tackled very well. And all of that changed the defensive game in execution. You know, Seattle, they had 4.6 yards before contact in Week 18. Mm-hmm. And that's a function of the linebackers being out of the play, out of their gap assignment, and getting blocked in the wash. Now, all of that was a function of the linebackers being bad and missing tackles on top of it. The other problem was technically they did not shed blocks at all. And that's a real problem. And I would think that that's going to be a focus for the coaching this week. Work on their technique with hand usage, especially the defensive tackles. You got to be better at shedding blocks. And if they are, and the linebackers play the way they did against Philly, now you can start to contain Seattle's run game.
Definitely. Also, you know who else is becoming, they're kind of budding at the right time of the season? CJ West. CJ West is coming on. I'm telling you. Earlier in the season, let's rewind it all the way back. I was not happy about the Alfred Collins pick. Okay,
we both weren't. We were in misery.
We were wrong, but I'm glad we were wrong. Okay,
all
right. Yes, and we were very loud about it.
Yes,
but the backside of that was it's hilarious to think about now, but we were just so like the silver lining to our diatribe was CJ West. Like, well, at least we got CJ West because he's going to be able to start right away, and we'll be able, remember all of that shit.
Oh yeah. Oh man, so wrong.
It goes so much to it points out what we know, but as we know, CJ West has not had a lot of burn. He hasn't got a lot of funk, and the biggest reason for him not being able to get on the field has been the emergence of Alfred Collins, quite frankly.
Yeah, true.
And other defensive, other veteran defensive tackles and interior defensive linemen. It seems as though that just by attrition, I don't know, maybe he's actually got himself together. I don't want to say that he kind of Wally pipped somebody, but now he's on the field and he's starting to flash, particularly in the run game. It's something that I love to see moving forward. I just feel like there's so many budding players on this team where they're gonna come through at the right time for us. Now, it's crazy for us to talk about this now and we're in like basically 1-game seasons. But what if tomorrow could be a Siegel game, right? Or a CJ West game, right? So I'm looking at guys like that have changed the tempo of the game, that have changed the speed of the game defensively, that can help us out where, honestly, half of them being a weapon for us is just their unfamiliarity to our opponent.
At the end of the day, you have to, you always have to give the young guys time. This is why it's so critical to not judge them right away because, and look at Siegel. Siegel had a couple of big plays. Remember, he was the one that made that 4th down stop against the Rams to seal that game for us in I think it was week 5. And a couple of weeks later, he's not even in the lineup. And then now he's out for 7, 8 games, 9 games. He comes back in the lineup due to injury, but he stayed mentally in it in the sidelines. He stayed mentally in it in the meeting rooms. He gets a second opportunity and played lights out. That ball that got overthrown to A.J. Brown, if that ball was where it was supposed to be, it was going to get broken up by Marquis Siegel because he did a tremendous job of coming from his position and getting there on time to knock that ball down. He was in perfect position on that play. So I just think that this season has been a perfect example of what everybody on this platform and everybody on pretty much every 49er content creator platform has been just screaming for. Let the young guys play. Because at the end of the year, you're going to have a better football player than you do at the beginning of the year. And the 49ers might just reap the benefits of being forced into that situation.
And Siegel has said in interviews this week that the game slowed down for him and that the way that happened was not playing and seeing how the defense worked, seeing the angles, seeing the pursuit, reading the offenses, figuring out how to play. And then we saw that last week. I mean, Siegel came in, Jair went down second quarter, and Siegel had 8 tackles in the game from the second quarter on.
Wild.
That shows you what an impact he had.
Yeah, it's amazing just watching the journey of what it takes for young players to kind of find their groove, right? In college, watching players find their groove is basically sometimes it's just different elements of the game that are like the last ingredient that brings it all together. Some of it is the guy actually just needs to get on the field, right, to see it all happen in real time, right? Some guys, they need to get hit. They need to get used to the physicality of the game. Other guys, their speed is off. The game speed is too much for them, or maybe they're too fast and they need to calm down. Also, and this is hard for younger players to notice, is that some of them need their ass benched. Yeah. They need to be sat down, okay? They've had enough time on task. They need to be sat down so they can process everything that they've done, and they need to go watch it be done on another level by somebody else, right? And I think that, in a sense, you can almost say that happened for Jair Brown when he got benched.
That's a great point.
Earlier in the season.
That's a very good point.
Right, so it plays, right? It plays on so many different levels, guys. I'm going to move into our next topic. Go ahead, Tom.
Just quickly in the chat, I think Ojiro makes a good point that it's also learning from your coaches, that they've got a great assistant coach staff that gets these guys ready mentally.
Mm-hmm.
They dip their water, they dip their pool, they dip their foot in the water, and then they can now use that as a frame of reference, be coached up, and be a much better player when they get back on the field.
Definitely. Another big thing with Siegel, what we have to see, which is across the bear, is just his frame, right? A lot of times Marquis Siegel was in the right place. He was in phase where he needed to be. He just got phased out, got a bigger target, ball got taken over. So we just got to see that side of Marquis Siegel in the passing game as well. I will tell you is that much more speed on the field, being able to tackle in space, having that around. I mean, we'll see exactly what Marquis Siegel can do from the safety position in the run game. That's a big thing in the run game. I want to see what Seattle's going to do when we got safeties that can get down in the box and cause havoc, especially off those edges. So I'm excited to see it. Let's get into our next topic moving forward. It's time. We're starting with you, Damon. Okay? Brock is 4-0 in Seattle. Purdy after week 11 has a 70% completion rating, which ranks second best in the NFL, third in passing rating, and third in total TDs, as stated. Kyle said it. Nothing rattles Brock in his last interview talking about Brock Purdy in the matchup. And I just think that it's cool that he has that type of confidence in Brock. Let's start with the question. Let's start the topic off with you, Damon. Do you trust Brock in Seattle more? Do you fear Seattle's defense?
Absolutely. And it's not so much Brock specifically, it's Brock and Kyle. When you look, there's a really cool stat that came out today. Kyle Shanahan, when facing a team for the second time in the same month, is 5-2. And when facing a team for the second time in 3 weeks is 3-0. He's very, very good if he's gotten to scout you before and he gets to dive a little deeper. If you combine that with Brock Purdy's ability to operate the offense, that is the one thing that Brock Purdy has done that is just on a totally another level from any of the quarterbacks that Kyle has had since he's been with San Francisco, is that he operates the offense at an extraordinarily high level. And so sometimes he can't make the throw he wants to, and so on and so forth. But when he has time in the pocket, when he is on point with his throws, he sets his feet, stuff like that, it's almost indefensible because he throws so early with so much anticipation because he understands how the offense is organized that it's very difficult to defend, even if you're a good defense.
Tom?
I think that Brock has a great opportunity here to show that he has different elements to his game that can win this as a runner, as a processor, as a decision maker, that there's a lot of things he can do. And Kyle will need to enable that to an extent. The most successful play in week 18 was controlled rollout for Brock, Kittle across the field 20 yards. I want to see more of that. I want to see him move Brock deliberately in trying to buy some more time for vertical routes, to try to get crossing routes where you're trying to get in man situations. But you need to give Brock more time and an ability to see the field better. And I think that rollouts can do both. In terms of screens, I think that what he's going to need to do is get a convoy out there. The problem was that Seattle was waiting. The Niners had 2.7 yards after catch in week 18. They just converged right away. You need to have somebody out there running interference. You've got to have one of those quick wide receiver screens where you got three blockers in front of you. You're going to need plays like that. And you're going to need the Brock rollouts. And you're going to need to use the chip and release plays from Juszczyk. All of those. And you're going to need to use decoys. Christian McCaffrey is the focus of their defense. Use that. Use the gravity of him. Let him be a decoy so that you can then scheme guys open. And one of the factors with having Trent is that you don't need to have as much help as they did with Pleasance. You can send everybody out in routes now and scheme guys open. They're going to need to do that in combination with decoys. And I think that you use both McCaffrey and Pearsall as decoys on occasion to try to open the field up.
I really like this comment from David Yang, coach. David Yang, 9787. This is a really good point. Debo destroyed them with the wide receiver tunnel screens. Like Sky Moore has that same type of ability. He's not going to run through people's faces the way Debo did, but his ability to be electric in the tunnel screen game could be a game changer in this particular game against this defense.
Great point.
I really believe offensively we have to strike early.
Yep.
And
ideally, but it's not required. What they have to do is maintain contact and then get to the fourth. But ideally, they take a lead and force Darnold into throwing more.
Well, the reason why I say strike early is because I want the anxiety and the urgency of the game to be on them before it's on us.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're home. They need to win, right? They have all of the tools on their side. They're younger. They're healthier. They have the better record. They beat the brakes off of us in week 18. They've already had the rest, right? Right now, and for all intents and purposes, this is supposed to be a layup in Seattle, right? And the further we let that narrative grow with going back and forth with them, anything can happen, right? I want to be able to kind of, for lack of a better term, knock the cool out they walk. Like completely, like it's almost like even if you're going to get in a fight with somebody who everybody thinks is a big, bad, you think you're going to lose. Dude, if you just draw first blood, right? Honestly, like it's not even about winning the fight right away.
Put
but if
pressure
you
on.
if you let everybody know this motherfucker can bleed. Okay, like we're drawing the first blow. All right, no matter how you feel about it, let's wake up and completely kill the narrative about you being bigger than us and us being smaller than you and you being bigger, faster, strong. Nah, I would love to strike first. Be early. I don't even care if it's a field goal drive. I want to be able to put their defense on the field and them thinking like, oh shit, man, we can't let them score now. You know what I mean? Like they have something to prove. I'm just telling you, there's something about letting a narrative of a game carry into the game where if the other team completely just kills that quick, it doesn't even have to be like a score. It could be a big hit on kickoff. You know what I'm saying? Like, feel me on this. Like, it doesn't even have to be a field goal. It could be a sack, a turnover, a deep run, something that completely shuts the crowd up, that makes them all sit down and notice like, oh, shit, we got a game. Okay, it doesn't matter anymore. All of the rest of that shit's out the window. Let's play these guys. I believe that that's what we need to do early. We can't let this thing persist where the crowd is rocking for 4 fucking quarters. All right. They completely have us tilted. We're holding on for dear life. And if you think that that doesn't matter, then why do you feel like the 13-3 was such a bigger loss than it is? Why do you feel that way? Because of how they did it. It wasn't just 13-3. They dominated the line of scrimmage. They gave us no opportunity to get into the game. Every time there was an opportunity for us to feel hopeful about the game, for us to feel like we had a groove, they snuffed it right out. Get in the red zone, pick. Flip the field, sack. We think that we're stopping the run game 3rd and 19. No problem. We'll get it. Like, that shit is gut punching. It's not so much as the fact that they scored on those plays, but it's those reminders of y'all ain't fucking with us. You do know that we're outclassing you. All right. And those are the things that wear on you in a game. But if we go in there and show elements that we are not phased, like, we're here to play a game, bro. All the rest of that other shit, you can leave it at the door. The whistle blew. The ball is kicked off. And somebody gets a big hit. We get a turnover. Something where it makes Seattle start looking at themselves while they perform instead of just performing, right? There's a difference. When you're fighting, I boxed when I kept coming up. There's a difference when you fighting somebody who they're worried about how they look getting punched in the face, on top of worrying about you punching them in the face. That is a whole different ball game, and you're going to lose every time because you're not really fighting. What you're doing is worrying about how you look. You're worried about who's watching you sweat or not look as confident, or they've done so much talking that this is the stuff that plays on the team when we could be up by 1 at half, right? But so much shit talking and what they've done, prior to this game could make them feel embarrassed. They could go into halftime cursing at each other like, we're having a horrible game. We should be beating these guys way more than what we're doing and performing at the time. So I'm telling you, this game has a lot of narrative around it where if we do things early in this game, if we respond early in this game, we can take away the momentum of that whole building. Because trust me, they're relying on their building. They're relying on
sure.
this. And if you don't think that it's real, look what they did in week 18 to us in our building, and look what we did to Philly in their building last week. We completely took the life out of that building, right? Where even if we were going to win or lose, there were elements of that game where it allowed us to go to work. The crowd was out of it. They're like, dude, this isn't what we expected. All right, play if you want, but we're not feeling this. Even if there was a point in the game where even if we had lost, the crowd would have still been disappointed with Philly. Even if we had lost, even if they had pulled out the win, it would have been glaring about how badly they played against us. So what do you guys feel about that?
I think it's important to note that with everything you said, which is totally correct, about the way the last game went, about how we felt like we just got our asses kicked, even though it was a 13-3 game, not a 30-3 game. We just felt like they had total control the whole time. But if you go back and watch that game, we are one tough catch by Krista McCaffrey near the goal line from that being a very different game with potentially a different ending. So with everything that was going against us, we couldn't make tackles. There were the balls that were getting popped up were going to them instead of hitting the ground. All these things that are just kind of going against you in a game, and you're still literally one play away from making it a one possession thing down the stretch. So that's something to kind of hang your hat on. Is even when they clearly outplayed us, out executed us in a football game from start to finish, we still were in that game and we were still right there with them.
To your point, Coach, let's remember that Kyle is the best in the league in the opening script. If the Niners get the ball, they've got a good chance of going down and scoring. Now, I don't know if that's 3 or 7, but to your point, it puts the Niners up. And to your point on just the confidence level and relying on the crowd, part of why Seattle did so well in week 18 was their confidence just kept building all game because everything they did worked. Their execution level was 100 of 100, in part because nobody ever disrupted their confidence. Nobody ever disrupted their flow. It just kept building, building, building. So what the Niners have to do in this game is, to your point, they need to get that first score. They need to get a 3-and-out on defense. They need to disrupt the confidence and just stop it and get them to regroup and think and say, okay, we got ourselves a playoff game. This is a different context. This isn't week 18. This is to go to the conference championship. And things like that can weigh on you where the context takes on a heavier element to it, and that can play with your head. And that's part of what the Niners are going to need to do is they're going to need to punch them in the mouth and wake them up and say, okay, guys, game on. That's what the Niners are going to have to do. If they get the ball first, I'm confident that Shanahan can script them a score and get them out to a lead, and I think that'll help their mindset.
Yeah, I agree. We need to punch them in the mouth. We got to knock the cool out they step. Really, these guys, they kind of feel like they're destined. If we just alter the picture for them, we could have them fumbling over, picking up the pieces while we're trying to win the game. I've seen it happen. It's happened to us. You know how many games we have lost that hung in the balance because we were so preoccupied with how we looked, struggling, or how teams had punched us in the mouth early, or how we didn't respond, that we weren't it was almost like paralysis by analysis. We were so fixated on why our precious scheme or our best laid plans didn't work that we were not responding. We weren't adjusting.
Yep.
It's happened to us, right? What happened to the
week
Eagles?
18.
Come on. It has happened to us when we were at our best in 2023. All right. It has happened to us. So we've seen it happen before. And these guys, they really believe that they're going to walk all over us. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I just want to see what happens when they get punched in the mouth. Moving into the last topic, let's get a couple of super chats. No, let's go ahead and get to the last topic. Then we'll knock out some super chats. But, hey, house money, okay? My man, with the plan, Kyle Shanahan. I like the way that rhymed. Does playing with nothing to lose make Shanahan more dangerous or more reckless? If we're truly on house money, do we start dialing up weird stuff early, or do you play it straight and hope it lasts? What type of approach can we expect to see from Kyle Shanahan in this game? Is he going to let it all hang out in a sense of maybe this is him just kind of throwing the deck at the table and saying, take your best shot? Or are we going to see a methodical approach from Kyle? Or I've seen this from him, and I hope he doesn't. Is he going to take his ball and go home? Where it's just Kyle puts out a certain game plan where it's like, hey, if we win with this, we win. But if we don't, my job is to not get fired. I don't think that he's going to do that because we are playing with house money. Quite frankly, nobody's getting fired. Everybody's pretty much done their job. We've exceeded expectations. Can we just put that out there real quick?
Yeah.
We've exceeded expectations. All right. So as far as like responding to what we've done last year, we done the job. All right. We flipped expectations. Not only did we make the playoffs from missing the playoffs, but we won a playoff game on the road and on a wild card round. So we've done what we need to do. Now that the Niners are truly playing with house money, are we going to see them really try to fight to get this one done? Or is this going to be at the end of the game, are we going to see traces of them kind of packing it up? Like understanding like, hey, man, we just came out here to have a good game. Are they really going to be fighting to get to the NFC Championship game?
Tom?
I think that Kyle's going to Kyle. He's going to rely upon his game plan to win it. He's not going to be a gambler. He's not going to be more aggressive. He's going to be him. And him is my plan wins all. And my plan, if executed correctly, wins this game. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to bank on his plan. And that's Kyle. Now, can he come up with new wrinkles? I would expect so. The challenge for him is how do you run when the run game only worked with Kittle? How do you run in this game against the best running defense in the league? That's the thing he's going to have to figure out. And it might be, as you pointed out earlier, extended handoffs and screens, like what Damon said with tunnel screens. I think that he's going to have to learn to adapt to what works and what doesn't. He's going to have to react faster. That doesn't mean he's gambling more. It just means that he has to be willing to leave his script to do something that he thinks will now work. One thing that Kyle does well is he can analyze what a defense is doing conceptually and on the fly come up with something that just he pulls out and says, okay, let's try this. And usually it's for a big play. I think we can get something like that from Kyle, but that's the kind of Kyle I'm expecting, is someone that can analyze what's going on and try to make something work on the fly, as opposed to I'm going to just, we've got no tomorrow, balls to the wall, let's go. I don't think that's Kyle. He's going to try to scheme his way to a victory.
Damon?
So Tom stole my take. But
Sorry,
that's the way group shows work, baby. Get used to it.
So
you better adapt.
Yeah, I agree entirely with what Tom said. Kyle's going to Kyle. However, I do think there is an element of house money in this game where Kyle might be a little bit more willing in just one critical situation here, one critical situation there, to maybe go for it on fourth down when he maybe otherwise wouldn't, or something like that. He might just have one more degree of, fuck it in his tool bag that could give them an edge. The other thing I think it's important to remember is that the 49ers had a quarterback in week 1, then a different quarterback in week 2 and 3. Then the quarterback from week 1 is back again. And then you go Mac Jones for 5. And then it's Brock Purdy again. They've had to run a fairly vanilla offense most of the season. They have not been healthy. They have only now strung together the same quarterback, mostly the same offensive line, same running back, same wide receivers for 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. They've actually been able to practice some different things now. So maybe we're going to get to see some variations that aren't on tape strictly because they finally have the same guys on the field, right, for multiple weeks in a row at multiple spots.
Yeah, I mean, I love this question right here. Not even a question, but a comment. It says, I think he's at his best when he doesn't have his Avengers.
It's
I believe
obvious.
that's been true about the entire season. Kyle has done an amazing job when he basically has to rely on everyone on the defense. I think that Brian Robinson Jr., there were only 12 carries in this game for 28 yards combined. That's ridiculously just putrid. We have to do more in the run game. Trent Williams is playing in this game. He didn't play in the last game. That's a big factor moving on.
Sure.
I just believe that there's a lot of I think that there's just a lot of opportunities to beat these guys. They're not infallible. There are a lot, don't forget that in that 13-3 loss in week 18, bro, we had a goal line stand on defense. I was cursing Damon out about it when he was trying to talk about Brock Purdy. Like, we were like, I was like, they had chances on this team. They had chances on this team where they made things happen. Also, another thing that changed drastically in this defense, we also know that Tatum Bethune had a very bad game against Seattle. Also, Upton Stout went out early in this game as well.
Yep.
And Upton Stout has been turning on as a legit guy now. He's more than, our rookie that we have to play, that we like. Upton Stout is turning on the point where he's about to get paid, man. He's one of those guys where if we don't watch out by next year, he could be a guy. The third down on Devontae Smith, that's a pick six. That's a pick six against Philly. I'm excited to see Upton Stout finish this game out. I pray, now that we know that Fred Warner is, I put Fred Warner on the thumbnail. I thought we were going to be talking about Fred, but Fred is obviously not playing in this game. But now that we know that Fred Warner's not playing, what are they going to do at linebacker? Do you believe that they're going to go with the Kendricks and Wallow tandem, or are they going to go back to maybe Gifford, maybe D. Winters peppered into the lineup? How are they going to play this? I'll start with you, Tom.
Gifford is hurt, so he's not going to play. With D. Winters, he was limited in practice this week, and so he's listed as questionable. I think there's a chance that what we're going to see is Kendricks and Winters. But if it doesn't work, I think that Sulla will react quickly and go to Wallow, because that team worked. That team is what helped their execution against Philadelphia. You need both of them. You need technically sound linebackers picking the right pursuit angles and making tackles, because those guys collectively played all but one defensive snap against Philly. I think you need to use that tandem. I would prefer to see Wallow, but I wouldn't be surprised if Winters gets some time.
Damon.
I think it's important to recognize that D. Winters played much better when he was next to Fred Warner. And I think that there's a real chance that we could get the best of D. Winters with Eric Kendricks next to him as opposed to Tatum Bethune. And that is to not to take anything away from Tatum Bethune. I love my Florida State guys. But having a guy like Eric Kendricks next to him, basically pointing everything out to him, and he's just a gun that gets fired, I think we could see D. Winters play at a really high level. But the reverse side of that is, if the coaching staff does want to stick with what worked, you could easily just go to him and be like, listen, you're not 100% yet. For this game, we're going to go with Kendricks and Wallow, we need you to be ready, right? You might have to play this game. We need, that kind of a thing. You also might see Wallow be the third linebacker and just be playing the Sam instead of the Will.
Hey man, it's gonna be a wild one. I'm excited for it. I think that we've done enough to feel like we have a shot. And with everything that we've been through thus far in the season, I'm grateful to be there. There's a lot of teams that could really have be in our position where this game is just a foregone conclusion, right? We're just, let's get through it. Let's make sure nobody gets hurt. We've had a good year. I think that we got a shot to beat these boys.
I can't let that slide, Coach. We're not happy to be here. We're not grateful to be here. We need to go in there and tear someone's fucking heart out. That's how we need to go into this game. Where's that fire? Let me see that fire that I saw in that last live, Coach.
All right, William. Okay, William Wallace. Calm down. All right, relax. It's going to be a ton of that shit tomorrow. The point
is they deserve to be here. They've earned the right to play this game. They were the better team in Philly.
That's right.
Definitely, and that's what they deserve to be here. And I think that coming into this game, I believe that we'll be the more comfortable team. We'll be the looser team. I also believe that this coaching staff is chomping at the bit to get at these boys. Because there was an element of week 18 where I think that, and there's no way to prove this, but I've been a part of this. I have felt this. It's happened. It's so secretive on teams that coaches don't even talk about it. I don't think that they put their best foot forward against Seattle in week 18. I believe that this team understood that they were going to the playoffs no matter what. They understand what they were going to lose fighting a team like Seattle to the bitter end, trying to get the number 1 seed, understanding that bye that they would have been rewarded for on week 18 would have just been a bye for them licking their wounds from the game that they would have had to play against Seattle. It would have been a dirty, nasty game in week 18 that they didn't have everybody. Trent Williams didn't play in that game. Guys were leaving early. I think that the offensive game plan against Seattle in week 18 was bland. I don't think it was creative. I don't think we saw a lot of the stuff in the offense that we saw earlier in the season. Yep. Brock Purdy had just been emerged in RPO, especially becoming a runner in the red zone. We saw none of that against Seattle. We saw Kyle Juszczyk being used in cocked motions, coming on those truck releases, on those tosses. We saw none of that. Brian Robinson Jr. only had 2 carries in that entire game, all right? There's so many things on that offense that we were so happy about that we saw against Indianapolis that's made us say, man, dude, this offense can turn on, that we did not see purposely, in my opinion, against Seattle. Because we saw it against Philly. And then I don't know. I think that there's a little bit of gamesmanship that was played from the coaching staff against Seattle. I feel that way. What do you guys think? That's my take.
I think the defense from Seattle kind of caused them to retreat, and Kyle did what you've said, where he kind of takes his ball and goes home. I think it was more that than vanilla. It was just, these guys have our number, forget it. And they just kind of bailed out of the game. I don't think that they sandbagged per se. It's just what they had in mind didn't work, and clearly Seattle was on top of every play, and Kyle just said, okay, enough.
Yeah, I don't want to use the word, like they didn't give up. But, I do feel like they conceded. Yeah, I believe that Kyle is very keen on showing teams what we do offensively. I believe that. And I believe that Mike McDaniel thinks that he has our number. I saw a little bit of swagger from the last game. They're getting a little cocky with how they're playing against us. And could Kyle suppress his ego enough to even attempt a rope-a-dope? Could he?
No. That's why.
No.
I only think this is unfounded, not because I think you're wrong, but because I just don't think that's Kyle. It's so antithetical to Kyle.
But the larger point is,
I think it's more likely what you said about him taking his foot off the gas.
And we got some Seattle dudes here. We got some sneaky Seattle fans in here.
And I would agree with that. UW, right on. Yeah, I'm in Seattle.
Mike McDonald.
So
I'm sorry,
I've
Mike
seen
McDonald.
all this.
Sorry, Mike McDonald. We gotta love Steve-O. Steve-O is our channel stenographer. He's here to run back the tape to let us know.
It's his show. Who's gonna cut the mic?
Come on, Steve-O's in the corner. Our little stenographer over there. Excuse me, Your Honor. It's not McDaniel. It's McDonald. So thank you, Steve-O. All right, go get us some sweet and lows and a couple of honey buns. Thank you.
Oh man.
So hey, let's close out some of these super chats, man. Dino Page 7638. Honestly, Kyle needs to be on the scouting report. It won't be the Seahawks, but Kyle getting in our way. Situational awareness is key. That would be disappointing because, to be fair, I haven't seen a lot of Kyle with his hand in the cookie jar. Like, Kyle has not gotten in the way of the process of this team. Guys have played, for the most part. The only thing that I've been a little critical of is more usage of Brian Robinson Jr., but I think that Kyle hasn't had the luxury to get in the way because we don't have the players. I think he's had to play basically what works and who's ready. Next man up. So I don't know.
And it's worked.
Yeah, I believe that we may be in a sweet spot where that part of Kyle isn't a luxury with what we got on this team. He can't do it.
Well, he's coached him up and he's gotten things done that nobody thought he could. The entire world picked against the Niners in Week 5 against the Rams, and they got the win. But in terms of what the guy from UW is saying, I agree. We don't want to make any excuses here.
No excuses.
It's more about just, can you out-execute this team? And part of what I've seen as a Seattle resident, I've been around the town this week. Seahawks fans are crazy overconfident. I have only found one person who picked Seattle winning by less than 10.
Oh, yeah.
And that's after talking to about a dozen people at least. They think it's just roll out the balls and win. It's not going to be that kind of game.
I want them to think that. That leans into our favor. Cryptic 84. We're going to find out a lot about this team. Other than NFC Championship, the elite defenses don't stop. After Seattle, there's a chance for Houston, Denver, or New England. Yeah. Look.
Why'd you have to bring that up?
That's a whole nother conversation, bro. All I'm saying, hey, look.
Yeah. That's so correct.
It is, but it's like, dude, whatever. Let's just get through Saturday.
Seattle.
Right.
Blue Bronco 48. I have a feeling I need a bottle of 90 proof. I'm going to have one right under the desk during this game, especially if it goes bad. You guys may see the live watch show of Coach drinking his sorrows away. Scuba Pat 199. Cowing tunnel screen, maybe they have options. I don't know. Tom doesn't seem too confident in the emergence of Jacob Cowing at all this season. How do you feel about it, Tom?
I don't think he'll be used. It doesn't seem likely to me.
Yeah,
I don't think they have to cut somebody if they bring him back. He's still on the IR situation. He just has his practice window open. So if they bring him back, they have to cut somebody off of their roster. They're not going to do that this late in the season.
Right.
Too Much Sauce 33. Is Upton Stout our best rookie?
I think so. This year, I think so.
So
who's made the plays that then has shown the most progress toward being a playmaker? Stout.
So the only problem is the guy that's the best rookie on the team this year tore his ACL about halfway through the season because he was really coming on 2 games, 3 games before he tore it, and he was dominant at stuffing the run on the edge. Our run defense was totally different after we lost him, but the best rookie on the 49ers this year, if you also incorporate the progress he's made throughout the year, the big play impact that he's had throughout the year is Alfred Collins. And there's nobody else has made more critical plays than Alfred Collins this year as a rookie.
I would say it's Upton Stout too, man. Upton Stout has been put on probably. Listen, I'm not mad at you, but Upton Stout, man. Upton Stout has been basically number one receivers on makeshift offenses are basically filtered through the slot. And Upton Stout has been on the slot since day one. I think that it's Upton Stout, man. What he did against Devontae Smith against the Eagles, I don't know, man. I would say it's a close. It's close because Alfred Collins is up there as well. He is. But I don't know. Do you think that I think we have three guys. Would it be Upton, Stout, Michael Williams, and Alfred Collins would be our best three rookies?
And Siegel. I think you can point to four guys, and then you add CJ West. That's a good draft. That's five guys that truly contribute. That's a good draft.
If the 49ers have a good draft this offseason coming up, they have just stacked three drafts that have rebuilt the core of their team.
They had to after having the two worst drafts in the league in 2022 and 2023.
I mean, it's the least they could do.
Oh, God,
Steve Lewis, 114. What jersey colors do you want to see or not see moving forward? Are the black jerseys not it? I like the black jerseys. I like them. You don't like them, Tom? What do you feel about them?
I don't think it's easily visible to see the numbers. I want to see.
That's a good. I was trying to figure out what I did because I like them, like style. Like I'm gonna go buy one. I'm gonna go buy a Fred Warner one, but I don't want to see him on the field.
I like the black jerseys,
he just said that.
I like the black jerseys. What I never want to see is gold jerseys.
Yeah,
I never want to see. That's going to be disgusting.
So
I never want to see gold jerseys. You know what I would like to see though? I'd like to see a red helmet.
For sure.
I think that'd be cool.
If they roll out those black uniforms again and throw a red helmet on it instead, that could
come on, son. Now talk to me now. Yeah. Come on, man. Let coach show you some style now. I know a thing or two about looking good on the field, baby. Bill Wenger, FS1 admin. Should we run more trips to the left plus two tight ends? Well, look, the two tight end situation is gone. All right. We've already left. We've lost George. That's not going to do what you think it's going to do anymore with two tight ends. We don't have two move tight ends. We're back to our traditional setup, which is why I did not like two tight ends in the first place, specifically for this reason. We have a backup now. Nothing really changes schematically.
That's right.
We understand that talent changes. George is not Jake Tunges. We understand that. However, there are two move tight ends. We understand that Luke Farrell is an attached tight end, right? He's a blocker. So when you're having two tight ends, you customarily want a move tight end and you want a tight end that can block for most of the time. Now, if you put both move tight ends on the field at the same time and one of them gets hurt or both of them gets hurt, now your tight end situation is completely changed. What you want is you want to have a blocker on the field and a move tight end on the field so you could be sound on both sides of the ball if you choose to do so. I know that some teams, they don't look like they do that because they have great guys where it's kind of hard to tell which from which, right? Because everybody has a little bit of blocking ability. Most guys can get out in the field, get out in the passing lanes and make themselves a pass catcher. But we're a little bit more deliberate over here with the Niners. So I think that Jake Tunges rightfully so takes over the role of George Kittle and Luke Farrell stays where he is. Now, as far as trips is concerned, I think we've already been doing that. We're doing a lot of trips. So that's not new. For us, it's 13. Like to see some 13. So how 13 would be at keeping Kyle Juszczyk on the field and still going double tight. So that would be throwing Luke Farrell on the field and Jake Tunges, and now you got yourself a 13 situation. We'll put in Kyle Juszczyk wherever you want to. I think a little bit more of that.
Like a third tight end?
Definitely. Now, I don't know if that's going to work against a defense like Seattle where they don't use traditional three linebackers like we do. They've got three guys that play linebacker, but necessarily two of them are safeties and one of them is a linebacker, and Nick Ebenwari, and the other two guys that they have. So my thing is to force this defense into its base, but they don't have a base. So we've got to force Nick Ebenwari, keep him in the box, right? We've got to force these guys to be able to play traditional style defense with their ambidextrous defense, where they can pretty much go run and pass with what they have on the field.
Yeah,
this is going to be by far one of the best defenses that we've seen in the playoffs. Sans if we make it to see Houston. Outside of that, There's only two defenses in football right now that are going to be playing like that. Them in Houston.
Right.
So
Right. They're the cream of the crop. And Clint Kubiak, to your point, said that one of the keys to the game is forcing them to bring somebody down the box. That he thinks if they can do that, then the Niners can throw. It opens up everything they want to do. The problem is, can you force Seattle to do that when you don't have Kittle and you still need to run? That's the issue. And then Eamon Wari, the problem with him is he's basically a triple threat. That he gives you a linebacker, a safety, and a slot corner all in one player.
And a blitzer.
Blitzer too.
All right. So one last, you made me bring it up. One last topic, because this is awesome. Is Ricky Pearsall going to make any type of impact on this offense tomorrow?
If he plays and has his speed, if he's able to play and has his speed, 100%, he will totally change the way that we attack them, because he will force Seattle to play more disciplined, but also play more legit on the back end. He's going to make it so they can't cheat. They have to play us honest.
The issue with Pearsall is he has said that he has trouble decelerating, and that's part of his separation game. That's right. Can he stay healthy is one thing, and another is I think it's more likely that he's going to be a decoy than a target.
Yep.
But it depends on how Pearsall holds up. If he can hold up all game, I think that they'll start to look and say, okay, he can play, he can make the cuts that we need him to make. He can get out of his breaks. If he can do those things, they can throw at him, and it'll definitely help. But my expectation is I think he's going to be more of a decoy.
Yeah, I'm afraid so as well. Last super chat of the show, Don Valadares. Love the energy on Game Day, Coach, and it's going to be crazy. Guys, what do you got for me tomorrow? How are you watching the game? What are you going to be doing during the game? Talk to me. Any rituals? What you got for me?
So I refuse to wear this. This is my favorite hat. I've been wearing it all season. I love it. It's got the camo and everything for the service members. I refuse to wear it because the first 4 times I wore it was the first 4 times we lost. So I will only wear a 49ers jersey with nothing else. This last game against Seattle, I threw on some new socks that I got for Christmas. Ruined everything. It's all my fault that we lost any games this year, guys. I cost myself a fucking lawnmower because I wanted warm feet.
Yeah, you did. I was going to get you a lawnmower.
Ouch.
Tom, what you got for me?
That's a big loss. And Coach is saying, thank God.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I was like, man, I can't believe we lost to Seattle.
He started looking at the prices and was like, do I want this?
What did I do? Okay, so rituals. I've got something, one of my favorite Niner things. After the catch, before they went to the Super Bowl in Detroit, the San Francisco Chronicle printed up these boards that have a photo, black and white, of the catch. Dwight Clark catching it over Everson Walls. Above it says Super. And every game that the Niners are in the playoffs, I take that board and I put it on my table next to my computer. Give me some juice.
Ooh.
I love that.
Taking us to school.
I like that, Tom. I like that, Tom. All right, what I love to do, pre-game rituals. You got to get up, all right? You got to take a shower immediately. First thing you do when you wake up in the morning, you take a shower. You go outside. You go for a 2-mile walk with the boy. You get a nice sweat in, and then you come back, and you need to play all of the hits. I listen to the program. All right, while I'm on my run, while I'm on my walk, you got to play the program. If you don't know the movie, the program, it'll change your life. One of the best football movies of all time.
All time.
Okay? Starring James Caan and Omar Epps. Okay? You got to get in there. Watch me a little bit of the program. All right? Get inside, turn the lights off, and start watching a little bit of film. All right? Just watch these Seattle Seahawks. Just for like 10, 15 minutes, all right? And then you know what else? We get a little baked. And we get ready to play this game.
All that build up and then you get baked.
Amin spoke right to my heart. Okay. We talk, we get the salad going. Okay. All right. That's how we do it. We got one last super chat from Scuba Pat. I love Tom, man. He needs to show up more. Tom is always here as many times as he wants to. Also, guys, the link is here. You guys already know you guys can pop in during the game whenever you want to for the live watch show party and give your thoughts, especially, if you're excited, Brock Purdy's going off and, moral support. If you see me completely reeling and you want to save me from burning my channel down, hop in, have a little conversation with me. Talk me off the ledge. All right. Because I'm going to need it. All right. Before we get out of here, guys.
By the way, just want to say thanks to Scuba Pat. That's nice. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Scuba's awesome. And so is Tom. Guys, I can't get you out of here without it. I'm going to start with Tom. I'll close with myself. Chunderboy, you fell out the middle. Pause. Game predictions. Score predictions. What do you got?
On the game, I think that it's like 60-40 as far as leaning Seattle. Just if things go as you would expect, because the Niners have fewer paths to victory. But you can flip that 40 pretty quickly. So with that precondition, I'm saying the Niners will make this a competitive game. But I think that because Seattle can run and stop the run, and the Niners can struggle to do both, I think that's the margin of victory. I got Seattle 24-20, but I'm rooting for the Niners all the way.
Okay. What you got?
So my bold prediction this week has nothing to do with analysis. It is a gut instinct. 31.
As if that has ever changed.
31-17 Niners. Hey, I'm always on the numbers, okay, sir?
31-17 Niners?
Yes.
All right. I think that this is going to be one of those Showtime fights where the stage is going to be as big as Seattle has ever felt. I think that a lot of the people in that building who know about the championship culture of where they've been are not there anymore. As a matter of fact, some of those players are on our coaching staff, matter of fact. I also think that the Niners, one thing that I love about this regime, especially this team, is that they are very self-secure. They know who they are. You're not going to get this team you're not going to knock this team off their pivot. They're not going to miss the main thing. They're not going to miss the focus. If this team needs to be able to be conscientious enough in the special teams game, they're going to do something about it. If we got to win with kicking, we're going to win with kicking. I believe that this is a team that's going to scratch and claw to the bitter end. And I don't think that Seattle wants to win that way. I think that they've talked so much shit that they've talked themselves into only wanting to win a certain way. And it may cost them. I got the Niners winning this one. I'm going a bigger score. I'm going 28-24 Niners.
Okay. Let's hope
All
so.
right, man. Hey, this is a great one. What do you guys got going on for the rest of the week after the game? Anything?
No. I look at my window, I see Lumen Field 2 miles away. It's pretty cool to see that and you feel that energy. I want to see that place deflated.
Yes.
Awesome. What you got for me, Damon?
I've got to go out of town for work this week coming up. So I have to spend all of my free time with my wife because otherwise she'll be very mad at me if I don't before I go.
All right, man. We want to keep you married. Hey, this is the coach signing off. Stay low and keep your feet moving. Holla at you guys. Peace. See you tomorrow. Be there at B Square live watch show party with the coach at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be a movie. See you.